Hey guys, what's up? GreenMachineSam back with another video, and today we have Week 6 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars headed over to London to take on Week 6. Now, of course, Jacksonville is known for going over to London and having good games, at least in years past. So, when I heard that we were going over to London, Jesus, I'm adding the two names together. When we were going over to London to take on Jacksonville, I knew it was going to be a test. Now, Jacksonville has gotten off to a very slow start this season, actually underperforming a lot, especially a team that was looking to take control of the AFC South, or at least be a top 2 team, is struggling to even be the number 3 team in that division right now. It was definitely going to be a test, right? I think they have a good team on paper. Now, a good team on paper doesn't always mean everything, right? If you have bad coaching, if you have, something going on in the locker room, you can have a ton of issues. The offense looked very good this week for Chicago. Caleb looked incredibly comfortable, and all the weapons were getting involved. They're not getting involved to the level I would want them to be getting involved or how I would want them to be getting involved, but they are getting involved, and they are looking better and more on a sturdy base. And they kind of are getting to know each other even more and more. And I think as the season progresses, that will be better once it does become more difficult to throw the football in, the month of December when it is cold out. Caleb looks like a pro, understanding more of his limitations, or at least some of the things he might get in trouble with in the NFL now. He doesn't look like he's just running around like he was in the first couple weeks. I understand the offensive line is playing better as well, so that we do have to take that into consideration. Was one better throw and half a yard from having a 6-touchdown day, which is very, very impressive. First Bears rookie quarterback to throw for 4 touchdowns in a game, which is very, very incredible. If he could have thrown for those 6, that would have been incredible. I know one was basically a pop pass to DJ Moore, so some people don't like that those are called passes just because you pop pass it instead of handing it off. But still, if him and DJ Moore could have been better connected on that first play of how the route was supposed to be run or how the ball was supposed to be thrown, I think that interception gets taken away. And if DJ Moore was just a little bit faster, or if we had a little bit more momentum, we could be talking about a 6-touchdown, 0-pick day from Caleb Williams and absolutely slaughtering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Balls looked very pretty, especially the one over the shoulder touchdown to Keenan. A lot of his balls looked very pretty. He is definitely performing very well. I know I just saw a chart on Twitter, basically expected yards per play and then accuracy, and Caleb Williams was at the top of the list for both. It's very awesome to see how just well he's come so far through the 6 weeks. I know everybody was jumping down on Bears fans being like, oh look, we have a repeat of last year's draft. The number 1 overall quarterback sucks and the number 2's performing great, through the first 3 weeks of the season when Jaden Daniels was taking off and Caleb and this offense was kind of struggling. But now, Caleb looks very good. And as a Bears fan, there's no way I would take Jaden, right? Jaden still has his concerns. He's still a very small built quarterback, and he's a running quarterback. We've seen this storyline kind of play out, right? Back in 2012, it was 2012, with Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin, right? The super mobile, agile, Heisman-winning quarterback goes number 2 to the Redskins / Commanders, and the number 1 overall superstar prospect quarterback goes to a team that doesn't have a great offensive line and stuff. We've seen the storyline play out, right? And then RG3 goes on to get injured later in his rookie season and was never really the same. Andrew Luck played out the rest of his career, granted behind a very terrible offensive line in Indianapolis, but we've seen this storyline before, right? I think Robert Griffin III even actually got off to a better start than Andrew Luck in their rookie season. So to sit here and pretend like the first 3 weeks, you need to give a quarterback 3 years, and let alone fucking 3 weeks, in my personal opinion. I do want to address something real quick going on with Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there is a rumor that he's getting benched, or I don't know if it's fully reported at this point, that he's going to be benched for Russell Wilson going into this week, as their offense hasn't got off to the hottest start. Yes, they are 4-2, but 4-2 isn't a fucking quarterback stat. Wins aren't a quarterback stat. It's as simple as that. I'm pretty sure most weeks when they win, their defense is holding guys under to 20 points. Granted, that's the same way that we've been for the first couple weeks, but still, you have to take everything into consideration. I understand some Steelers fans being like, there's no reason to play Russell. Russell was just to get us over the hump and just to get us into the next year, right? And I understand some Steelers fans going like, oh, hey, let's just play Justin. Let's see what we have with him before we make any decisions, right? I totally understand that. I definitely think that is a good way to look at things. I think you do take a look at the 25 or 26-year-old Justin Fields over the 33 or 34-year-old Russell Wilson. But like I said, wins aren't a QB stat. I need people to understand that. They're not a QB stat. That defense is playing out of their mind up in Pittsburgh. I know ours is as well. I'm not trying to take anything away from Justin Fields, right? I still love him. I still want him to succeed. Just not against the Bears, of course. But still. DeAndre Swift looked very comfortable, and I'm happy to admit that as of right now, I feel like I was wrong about him, right? I was wrong. I didn't like the contract. I didn't like us paying money to a big money, running back when I thought Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson could be the two lead backs going into this season. He's definitely proven me wrong. He's definitely looking good. The offensive line looks better this week, especially against a supposed good D-line. They have Eric Armstead. They have Devon Hamilton. They have Travon Walker. They have Josh Hines-Allen. They have a very good defensive line on paper, or at least a, supposed to be good pass rushing unit at minimum. So it's good to see the offensive line really stepping up, playing well, playing together. The more it solidifies, the better. Could we add a piece to the offensive line in the next couple weeks if a team's looking to sell off somebody that is coming off contract? Absolutely. I'm going to be talking about that next week more than anything for week 7 because that is the bye week for us. So we will actually be missing, so we won't be playing a game this week. So maybe that's something I can talk about is do some research and see who I think the Bears should go get based off of, contracts and how teams are performing and stuff like that. I know Trey Hendrickson has been floated around. I know some people really want Zach Martin because I think he's coming off contract for the Dallas Cowboys. I wouldn't be opposed to that, especially if Dallas can't afford him or don't want to pay him at this point. I wouldn't be opposed to trading a second-round pick for Zach Martin, putting our right guard in a position, especially if you put Zach Martin next to fucking Darnell Wright. You know how much better Darnell Wright can be? He doesn't have to worry about somebody crossing his face and going inside and beating him inside because Zach Martin's going to fucking be there. But then again, I'm going to have to look at all that stuff, see who's coming off contract, which teams aren't really performing, which teams could probably be trading off some pieces. Defense is outstanding. Missing half our defensive backs, we still shut down a very explosive down-the-field receiving core. I know Evan Ingram got his, I think it was like 10 or 11 receptions for over 100 yards, but we really shut down a very explosive down-the-field receiving core. Brian Thomas is a very explosive guy, Christian Kirk as well. I think we played him very well, especially missing, Kyler Gordon for at least like half the game. We were missing Kyler Gordon for half the game, Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, and Jaquan Brisker. So we were missing 3 of our top 4 corners, and we were missing our starting safety. So it's definitely very good that we saw a guy like Jalen Jones and Josh Blackwell step up. Elijah Hicks was around the ball a lot. I do like seeing that. Our cornerbacks definitely stepped up, but that was more. I think their jobs were made a lot easier because of the defensive line. The defensive line had 4 sacks on the day. Guys were getting home, especially guys that you didn't really expect, like Chris Williams. We had the middle linebacker, Amen, get a sack, I'm pretty sure. And then we also had Montez Sweat get half a sack, and we had DeMarcus Walker get a sack. I forget who got the other half sack, but I think it was Cowart maybe got the other half sack. But still, defensive line showing up, forcing pressure, very, very good. I know the Jags O-line isn't considered highly regarded, but still showing up when we needed them to. Definitely seeing them show up more and more. I like Austin Booker's hustle as well. There's definitely some plays where they were going away from him or something got outside and he still tracked it down. That's what we like to see, especially for Chicago. Turnovers. When we turn over the ball, get turnovers on the ball, and especially when we hold opponents to under 20 points. That's what Tremaine Edmonds apparently said. 20 points is their threshold, and turnovers are the most important thing. They want to be known for getting turnovers, and of course shutting opposing teams down from scoring at least 20 points, and we're definitely doing that, and it's definitely showing up, and it's helping the offense more and more. Torrey Taylor, holy fuck, I think the last 2 weeks he's averaged like 60 yards per punt, which is fucking incredible. And I forgot to look at his net yards. I definitely forgot to look at his net yards, but I'm pretty sure they're high as well. So we are looking very good. Torrey Taylor, I didn't still like the 4th round pick being spent on a punter, but Corey Taylor is definitely proving his worth. One thing I forgot to mention is Cole Kmet stepping up in long snapping. I know we just signed, I think, Jack McQuaid. I think that was his name. So he'll be our new long snapper. So we're through 3 long snappers already. But it is good to see that Cole Kmet can handle that responsibility in a situation when needed. He definitely came out and looked good, having to score touchdowns and then ultimately get your ass back on the line and snap the football. Still, he's doing it all. Cole Kmet deserves more love. I love Cole Kmet. I'm so fucking happy. That's another guy that I was kind of wrong about, when I graded him on draft night. But I'm like I've said before, I would be happier being wrong about a player on draft night than being correct, right? If I say oh, I don't think we really needed this guy, I don't think he was really worth the pick, and if they come out and ball out, I'm more than happily be like, yeah, I was wrong about him. That's my bad. He's fucking good. So shout out Cole Kmet. Shane Waldron is finally finding his footing on this offense after being told to be more aggressive. He definitely looks a lot better. He looks like he's calling a lot more plays to get the weapons more involved. He's not really playing with kid gloves as much. Sometimes I don't know if it's Eberflus stepping in and trying to tell him to be conservative, but I think later in games we need to not be as conservative. We did it last year with Luke Getsy and Eberflus. I think keep your foot on the pedal until the game is put away. That's one thing that I just don't want to see is a big comeback, especially. We did get flexed to the 325 slot for the Commanders versus Bears in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I think it's week 8. So we did get flexed to the 325 slot. Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow apparently aren't interesting anymore. We do have, I think, the main squad on CBS or Fox or somebody. I don't know. Whatever station we are on, we did get flexed to the primetime game of that slot. So I hope it is Tony Romo. I think Tony Romo breaking down both Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels will be very interesting. 2 defensive-minded head coaches coming in. Dan Quinn and Eberflus looking to really solidify their coaching position right now, because I know a lot of people thought Dan Quinn was going to be a 1 year hire, and then they were going to go find their offensive guy next year. But with Dan Quinn and the Commanders playing pretty well, as well as so Cliff Kingsbury, he definitely is proving himself worthy as well. So it's time for Eberflus to step up to the task, right? This is a game that you must go win, right? This kind of solidifies whether or not you made the correct choice in taking Caleb Williams. I'm not thinking that. I'm just saying that's what the outside world, that's what the NFL media is going to think, right? If you don't go win this fucking game, they're not only going to question your coaching ability, because they're going to be like, oh, they should have fired Eberflus. If Caleb Williams does not play well, they're going to question you guys taking Caleb Williams. They're going to question everything. This is the game, right? This is the game before the NFC North games start taking place. This is a game we have to go win. If we can beat them and if we can beat the Patriots going 6-2 in the first 8 weeks, we'll set ourselves up very good going into the divisional games, because there's some crazy stats coming out about the NFC North. Oh, you're 4-2 in the NFC North. Congratulations, you're 3rd or 4th place, but you could be 1st place in 3 other divisions. Oh, you have the number 6 ranking point differential. Oh, you're 4th in the NFC North. There's some crazy stats coming out about the NFC North this season of just how good some of the teams are. So once we do get to those divisional games, it is going to be a bloodbath. So time for Eberflus to step up, show that we made the correct decision in keeping him. But with that being said, guys, if you guys do enjoy this video or any videos here on my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys do stick around and subscribe. I'll be back with more videos like this. Hopefully you guys do enjoy this content. I do have some stuff that is actually rendering currently, so I will hopefully be getting more stuff out to you guys later down the line. But for now, this was week 6 against the Jacksonville Jaguars in London. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace.